Hello everyone, welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Himbar, and today I have another tag for you. Okay, so this time I'm doing the personal library tag. I'm going to try to make this shorter than the last couple tags because they're going too long in my opinion. So I was tagged by Jeremy Fee a couple weeks ago. I may have been tagged by someone else and I just missed it or forgot, but I'll link Jeremy's video down below. And I am not quite sure who originally created, but I'll try to figure that out and link that below as well. Let's get right into it. I don't know how many of these questions there are. So, do you have books around, or do you think of yourself as having a personal library? That's what the whole point of the tag is, so I'll just answer the question with, I feel like I have a personal library. And then what does a collection or personal library mean to you? I mean, besides the fact that I have them so I can read them, I mean, they're not just for show, and I really have the intentions of reading them, I guess in some cases, like, a library is also something that you, it's kind of an experience, and so, with a personal library, it lets other people know kind of more about me, if that makes sense. So, yeah, a little bit about who I am, I guess. And then what is your personal library for? So it's for myself. It's for me to enjoy. It's for others to enjoy somewhat, but that has never really happened that much. At least yet. I'd like to at some point for other people to get enjoyment out of my books, you know. But along with that, it'd be for my kids kind of as well. If they want, obviously, that in the future, these books will be theirs, right? As a sort, at least. Where is your personal library? So it's in my house. It's mostly my bedroom, to be honest. So there's only 2 rooms currently where it's in. But that's what the second question is. Contained to a single room or spread out? All about the house. So yeah, it's in 2 rooms. I have basically all of my fiction in here and all of my nonfiction in the living room. I have a lot less nonfiction. I have a good amount of nonfiction still, but a lot less of it. And my wife doesn't like, generally, my fiction to be displayed. And so I keep my nonfiction out in the living room. So if people come to the house, you're gonna see that. There is a little bit of fiction mixed in there. Like most of my Tolkien is actually out in the living room. You know, Tolkien's nice and respectable. But also most of my classics, if I do have classics, what people would generally consider classics, because I would, that's a loaded word, but so most of my fiction is in my bedroom. There's a little bit of not classical fiction out there as well, but that's mostly books I'm thinking about reading soon, or so oftentimes I'll store the book I am currently reading out in the living room as well. It kind of depends. So there's only 2 rooms so far right now where they are. How many books make up a personal library? I'm really not sure. Maybe about 500,000, if I were to guess. I'm not sure. I don't keep track, which is kind of part of the next question. How do you organize your personal library? So it's not very organized right now. Kind of like how I organize it by fiction and nonfiction. It is organized by author, at least. I try to keep all the books by, a certain author in the same space of sorts. But yeah, that's about it right now. It's actually very unorganized because I don't have enough space. I've pointed out before, but this shelf is mostly triple layered. This one's double layered. This one's double, double, double. There's books on top of it as well. And that's kind of the state of my other shelves as well. So I need more shelves. And then I could probably go through it and organize it better, which is better than almost all of them being in boxes, because that was the state they were in for several years up until a few months ago. So let's see. Do you keep track of your personal library? No. I mean, I do in my head. I've never accidentally bought a second copy of anything yet. So I don't know if that means I'm just decently good at keeping track. Now I have bought second copies of books, but it was on purpose. So I'm decently good at keeping track. or it just hasn't gotten so out of control yet. I have thought about at one point, or at some point, going through and cataloging everything I own, but that would take quite a while, and I really just don't have the time for it. I mean, I obviously could make the time, but I don't have the time, if that makes sense. So like, instead of doing that, I'm making time to make these videos instead, right? So maybe if I wasn't making videos, I would do that instead. So, and if so, how? And how do you decide to add a book to your personal library? So as for the first one, since I don't really keep track, then not to answer that, but I think of what I want, and then I add it when I feel like I should. Yep, pretty simple. I know there's not really a lot of rhyme or reason to it. A lot of it is kind of based off, like, I do mood buying, kind of like I do mood reading. Of course, I have to have the money for it, so I'm not going into, like, debt or anything ridiculous. Yeah, so it just kind of depends. Now, I do actually buy a lot of, like, out-of-print stuff. So sometimes I've actually been asked to make this video before about how I do find, like, books that are a little harder to find for, like, you know, affordable prices. And I want to make that video, but I don't feel like I have a lot to say. I really just keep track of stuff on several websites, and apparently I'm good at it. I have several books that are considered decently hard to find, or sometimes it's hard to find in, like, good shape or something like that. And, you know, I didn't pay an arm and a leg for them. So I actually have several like that, like Conan and the Emerald Lotus, or Brimstone Angels, or the hardback versions of Book of the New Sun, or Operation Aries by Gene Wolfe, and really lots of others, actually. So I actually have 2 copies of Conan and the Emerald Lotus, which is supposedly hard to get, and I didn't really even have a problem getting 2 copies of it. Yeah, just stuff like that. I guess I'm okay at. Oh, like a trade paperback of Memories of Ice. Apparently that's hard to get too. But I have one of those, so whatever. I don't have hardback though, because you can find those, right? But they're just, I haven't found one yet that's affordable, unless it's like book club edition, and even that's not very affordable. Hey, when it's time to cull your personal library, how do you decide what stays and what goes? So it goes if I've read it and I haven't enjoyed it. Which is to say, I cull my library very slowly. Like, it doesn't happen very often anyways. But when it does happen, I get rid of not a ton. I think last time I got rid of like 30 books. And considering how many I have, that was very little. Now, that was mostly stuff I had read a long time ago. Some of it was like book 1 in a series. It's like, I'm really not going to take the time anywhere in the near future to continue the series. Or like books I generally DNF. So like Hyperion, for example, that was probably the most recent one on there. And that's because I didn't finish it, which is my most recent DNF, so. Yeah, and then sometimes it's like also if I don't think my kids will particularly enjoy it, and even though I might have enjoyed it when I read it, like, I don't know, like, there's just, I don't know. Like, because I keep some things that I don't think I'd enjoy so much right now, but, you know, like, I still keep them because I think my kids might, but then other ones, I'm like, whatever, and I just get rid of them, so. Does your personal library have books you haven't read? Well, of course it does. And books I may not read. Maybe. I do intend on reading all of them. Just if I keep on getting more, and that's one of my biggest fears, I'll die before I read everything I want to. So, what do you think about the idea of a 0 TBR? So I think that's the idea of having, like, every book you own you've read, essentially, right? I think that's what that means. That'd be nice. I don't really see it as a feasible thing right now. In some ways, like I said, it's kind of not worth it, because a lot of these out-of-print books, there are no Kindle versions, there are no audiobook versions in a lot of cases too, and they're very expensive sometimes. So it's just like, yeah, there could be a reprint in the future, but what if there's not? Because if there's not, then you're just making it, there's a less likely chance you're ever going to be able to get a copy, until of course it goes to the public domain, and by the time that happens you might be dead. So yeah, I don't think that's feasible personally, unless I change my mindset drastically. So how do I feel about or towards my personal library? I like it. I love it. It's a big part of me. I feel like it's like a weird extension. Obviously, it's not like super important. and they could all burn in a fire, and that would suck terribly, but, you know, I wouldn't die. Might be depressed for a really long time. So I love it. I wish it was more organized. I wish I had more space, and that's something that'll probably slowly come along here at some point. I mean, it has. I mean, like I said, up until a few months ago, these were all in boxes for the most part. So that's some good improvement, right? Anyways, I kept it relatively short. So this has been Liam Liam's Lyceum. If you want to talk books, I mean, I do reviews Mondays and Fridays. I do videos like this on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I do poetry every Thursday. Those are really short, not very popular, but if you like poetry. But you can come and chat books as well in the Discord that will be linked down below. And I'll catch you next time.